Hello, everybody, and welcome to Table Talk. My name is Joni Rampola, one of the registered licensed dietitians with Giant and Martin's. And today, in the month of April, and April happens to be Earth Month, I am so excited to welcome back to Table Talk, Kristen. And when I think about sustainability and saving the planet, there is nobody else I think of but Kristen to learn from and entertain and just be a wealth of knowledge. So I hope she inspires you the same way she inspires me. Kristen, why don't you take a minute to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Joni. Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen Scovira, and I work in health and sustainability, supporting Giant and Martin's brand stores. And I'm so happy to be back here with Joni today. I've been in this role for about 7 years. So if she keeps letting me come back for Earth Month, I'll keep coming back.
I love it. Thank you. So you mentioned your job is about sustainability, and that tends to mean different things to different people. How does Giant and Martin's define sustainability?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Joni. I think it does. I think even if you ask people who work within the company, they would probably define it differently. But in order to make sure that we're focused on the right things, we have a pretty structured way that we look at health and sustainability. So we have four main pillars. These are not the only things we work on, but they are kind of our guiding principles in terms of how we structure our work streams. The first is around health and personalized guidance. Our second stream is around transparency and having sustainable baskets. Our third is all around eliminating hunger and waste. And our fourth is around our carbon emissions and reaching net zero and really doing our part to make sure that we are not contributing to climate change.
That sounds like a lot of moving parts there. Can you
Definitely
break
a lot.
it is. Can you break it down for us and describe the work that's involved in each of the different pillars?
Absolutely. So, when we think about our first pillar, I mentioned it was health and personalized guidance. So, we do, and I know Joni uses it, it's certainly not her only tool, but a tool that's available to her and our other dietitians in the store is a program called Guiding Stars. If you shop with us in store or online, hopefully you are familiar with the program. It is a shelf tag program where a scientific advisory panel looks at all of our food products based on the nutrition information that's provided on pack and rates them based on a algorithm that's approved by our scientific advisory panel. And if the foods are some of the best and most nutritious, they can gain 1, 2, or 3 stars. It's a program that we have simply to help people navigate the store if that's something that they are choosing to look for, make our health a little bit easier to navigate. Um, Long term, we'd really like it to become a more personalized tool that if you have a disease state or you follow a lifestyle diet such as keto or Atkins or you're gluten free, that it can also then incorporate that into it as well. It's not there yet, but it is something that if you want to use it, I highly encourage you to try it out. Our second pillar is around transparency and sustainable baskets. We really strive to make sure that we're selling, sustainable products in our store, and that it's transparent for our customers to look for that. So similar to the Guiding Stars program, online on our digital platforms, we have another program that rates items in a kind of good, better, best methodology. But instead of doing that based on the health attributes of the product, it really looks at the sustainability of that product. So, for instance, if um, it'll look at things like animal welfare, excessive packaging, water usage, labor in the supply chain, all these different inputs, and again, rank things in a good, better, best way. So, again, if that's something that you are interested in as a consumer, we try to provide that tool to you online.
And it
Our
looks like a leaf, right? It's
It
one
does.
leaf, two
You're
leaves,
right.
or
Thank you
three.
for bringing that up. It does. It looks like a leaf. So 1 leaf, 2 leaves, or 3 leaves, three being the best. And it really breaks the products down in that way. And then our third pillar is eliminating hunger and waste. this is a really large bucket of work. It has many different work streams in it. When we think about waste, one of the things that's encompassed in this bucket is around plastic. Many of you probably do think about plastic and reducing plastic and recycling plastic and all different things that we can do to get problematic packaging out of the supply chain. So we have a whole work stream on that. How do we incorporate things like post-consumer recycled content into the existing plastic that we have? So it has been recycled and we're not only using virgin plastic. How can we make sure that the plastic we do use is recyclable? How can we get, plastic out and transfer over to things like fiber trays or something that's compostable? So a lot of
Kristen,
work. Oh,
I'm
sure.
going to interrupt you just for 1 second because there's a lot of comments in the chat about single-use plastic. So if you can highlight that in this section, that would be great.
Absolutely. Yes. So one of the things that Giant just actually recently did was incorporate post-consumer recycled content into our front end single-use bags. So Giant and Martin's, for those of you shopping in either banner, we do still have single-use plastic bags at our front end. What's great is we now have, they're not all made from virgin plastic. We are incorporating post-consumer recycled content into those bags. And what I want to be really clear about is you can still recycle those at our store. You cannot recycle them curbside, but all of our single-use plastic bags are recyclable. You'll notice that we have bins in our vestibule. I would highly encourage you to, as you shop with us, you can bring them back. You can bring bags back from competitors. We don't look at them. We're not, they're all recyclable. We'd be more than happy to take those and recycle them on your behalf. But we definitely are trying to do our part there. I mentioned moving to fiber and like pulp paper. We do have projects underway. We test them first, right? We want to make sure that we're not impacting customer experience and also quality of product, right? So we will do pilots where we might move something out of like a foam or fiber, like foam styrofoam tray, move it over to a paper pulp fiber tray. Doesn't always work out. We might need to go back to that supplier and come up with another solution. But we do have a lot of projects in the works to reduce as much unnecessary and problematic packaging as possible. But we also need to maintain food safety and food quality on top of everything else. Also in the that eliminating hunger and waste, we have a lot of goals around eliminating or reducing our food waste. We monitor that very closely. I'm happy to say that the Giant Company does a really good job, and we'll kind of get into some of that later on our food waste. We also are just trying to eliminate waste in general. What can we recycle in the store? Making sure that we're sending as little to landfill as possible is very important to us. And then our last bucket is around being climate, getting to net zero by 2050. So we look at that in a couple of different ways. It can get pretty complicated. There's many different work streams, but we look at the emissions that are associated with our own operation. That means like in our stores, with our trucks, all of the things that we can control, we really are working on making those as energy efficient as possible. And then we also work with our suppliers to reduce emissions within the whole value chain. That's some newer work. That's an emerging topic in this area, but it's really important. And we do have projects going on with some of our suppliers to make sure that we are reducing our emissions in the supply chain as well.
Excellent. I do have a question about that. But before I get to that question, there's some chatter in the chat about our
Sure.
plastic bags that we use, I guess, at the register. So one, they're plastic, and
Mhm.
two is they're considered weak and small.
Well, am not the person to talk to about the quality of the bag. But what I would say too is, now I kind of live and breathe this, right? Like this is my day-to-day job, so it trickles into my out of work job too. My family, we do try to shop mostly with our reusable bags. I can't say we're always perfect. You run in for a fill-in shop. Sometimes I will, if I can carry it out without a bag, I will just take my receipt. But everyone uses a bag once in a while. I would highly encourage you to try to build a habit of using reusable bags. I think they're great, not only for the fact that you can continue to reuse them. I've had bags for many years that are still in really good shape, and we use them, weekly. But sustainability aside, I think they're super efficient just from like a busy person's point of view. You can fit more in them, you make less trips in and out of your house, they don't fall over on the back of your car. we still want to meet customers where they are. So if you want to shop with reusable bags, I would highly encourage you to do that. If you do continue to shop with single-use bags, we're certainly not villainizing that or, trying to make customers feel bad in any way. But I would say I would highly encourage you to try to make sure you're recycling those at any one of our locations, because we do take that really seriously and we do want to keep those out of landfill as much as possible.
So here's a customer question. Someone uses the reusable giant shopping bags, but sometimes the handles rip or get torn off. Is that bag itself recyclable in just household recycling?
I don't believe it is. No, I would need to probably look at a bag more, but I'm pretty confident to say that that would not be a recyclable item at curbside or in the store. You couldn't bring that back to recycle with our single-use bags.
And another customer comment, can you comment on the kind of plastic and plastic covering like Glad wrap or Saran wrap that are permitted in Giant's recycling bins that are located
Oh, like
in
if
the
they can go
shopping?
in. Yeah, so basically it can't be contaminated, right? We would ask that it's clean and dry. So if you have used a bag, something's leaked in it and there's like food residue, that we would ask that you don't bring that back. Things like dry cleaner bags can come back. Like if you still get a newspaper delivered to your house, like a newspaper bag, the wraps on a lot of water bottle containers, or if you buy, water bottles in bulk and it comes with that shrink wrap over it. But nothing that has touched food, generally speaking, it becomes contaminated and it cannot be recycled with us. But anything clean and dry can come back.
So somebody's asking, what about bread bags?
Bread bags is kind of actually, I didn't bring it up for a reason because I've just said no food, but it is an exception to the rule. So a bread bag would be okay to come back.
Okay. Interesting question. How will the current administration have an effect on your sustainability initiative?
I can't really speak to that right now. We are a company that is associated with a European entity. So we do still follow a lot of direction that we are given from our global organization. The work here is still highly supported by our leadership throughout the different operating companies. We are still continuing on business as usual. I'm sure, if there are things that need to be taken into consideration with the administration, conversations will be had and pivot as necessary. But we still feel that these are very core to our business, and nothing has changed so far. We are continuing with the work as is.
Excellent, thank you. So just a moment ago, you were talking about the pillars, and I just want to ask a question about the net zero pillar. Can you talk about some projects that Giant Martins is doing to reduce our carbon emissions?
Absolutely. So, like I said, there's a few different streams for carbon emissions. We look at stuff that's happening fully within our control and then also within the supply chain. So the things that we can control are our stores, and things that you may, or there's projects happening in that maybe you notice a lot, and projects that are really not noticeable at all to the customer. Some of the things you might notice is that we have air curtains in some of our stores. So an air curtain is essentially because we have our automatic doors. It's kind of like a whoosh of air that comes down when you pass through, maybe, ruffles your hair a little bit. But essentially what that does is it helps maintain the energy efficiency of our building. So in the summer, it keeps the cool air inside, the hot air out, and in the winter, vice versa. We also have LED lighting in all of our stores. We've converted that over to make that more efficient. And then the thing that I can't imagine anybody would notice, but we do try to, when we do remodels or build new stores, we're very conscious of our cases. We try to add more energy efficient cases. There could be more doors on those cases, obviously, to maintain that efficiency. And then the thing that you're definitely not going to see is we convert our refrigerant systems. So there's refrigerants that run through your own refrigerators at home. They run through our refrigeration systems at the store. And there are some older models out there that use what's considered to be a not so friendly ozone refrigerant. And we are systematically working through our refrigeration units in the stores to update those to be what's considered ozone friendlier refrigerants, to make sure that they are not contributing to emissions in our store.
That's excellent. A customer is asking, what do you do with fruits and vegetables, and I'll add, or any food that are well past their prime or not able to be sold?
I don't know which customer asked that, but I feel like you read ahead in some of our questions, but I love it because I love to talk about food waste. And the Giant Company does a really, really amazing job of making sure that food is not ending up in landfill, which is important to us as a company, but also just important to, me and a lot of our other team members, just as part of their daily lives to keep food out of landfill. So we do a really good job of making sure that food that can be sold or donated is. However, we recognize that things happen, right? Food can spoil before someone's noticed it and culled it off the shelves. We make sure that even that food does not go into landfill. All that food is recycled. We do work with a third party to recycle our food. So we have food waste bins in our store. So I think the question was around something that's spoiled, but we also use those food waste bins. You might notice we do a lot of in-store prepared items like cut fruit, sushi in many stores, delis making a lot of products, bakeries making a lot of products. We will have like remnants from that. All that food, even like scraps, we recycle. And the partner that we work with, what they do is they put it through a process called anaerobic digestion, which essentially all the food gets churned up into a mixture called a slurry. It goes into anaerobic digesters, and the microorganisms in those digesters release the methane that would have otherwise been released in the landfill. And that methane then is contained and creates clean energy. It can be used to power homes and farms and all different types of usages. So we really try to make sure that that gets repurposed in a meaningful way and that food is not going to a landfill.
People are finding you very interesting, which I love.
Oh, great.
And there's one comment I just want to say because it kind of, I, I couldn't help but smile. It was funny. It's asking about sustainability of Marty. So Marty is our robot that walks around the store. Like, what's his purpose and is he using too much energy?
I know enough about myself to recognize when I don't have an answer to a question. I don't work on the team that's in charge of Marty. I can't even really tell you what all the features that he does. So that one I probably can't give you a great answer on just because it's kind of
So
outside of my scope of
yeah,
work.
I'll just say what he does. I don't know. I think he's just battery operated. But Marty looks for spills or things that may be a danger to a customer on the floor. Something spilled or dropped and just calls overhead, clean up an aisle, whatever, as he roams the store. It just made me chuckle when I saw that. I wanted to share. It was a cute question. So I know Giant Martins is proud of its commitment to get to that net zero waste. Can you tell us more what it means and like how do we know we achieved it?
Absolutely. So zero waste is defined as 90% or more of our waste that's created in the store is diverted from landfill or incineration through recycling or donation. So we have a very robust reporting team that looks at all of our waste and recycling and donation streams. And when I first started doing this job, we were only able to see this information at like the brand level. Now we're able to see it at store level every single period of the year, which is really helpful because then we can kind of identify where we have really strong performance and where we have opportunities. So it looks at all of our waste and recycling and donation streams. And for us, our largest recycling stream is cardboard and paper. You have to imagine that almost all the products that are delivered to our store through the back room are coming in some type of corrugated cardboard box. We have balers in the back of all of our stores. We take that cardboard along with any type of like printer office paper and we recycle it. A lot of stores are making at least a bale a day, if not two bales, and those weigh in the range of 800 to 1,000 pounds. We recycle over 100 million pounds of cardboard annually as the Giant and Martin banners. We also all those plastic bags you're bringing back. We don't. That's considered plastic film. We recycle plastic film, but it's not just those bags. It's also all those boxes that are coming in the back room. They're on pallets that are shrink wrapped. All that shrink wrap gets recycled. All that plastic film that's in the store. We recycle. We recycle waxed cardboard. A lot of our seafood and our produce items come in a waxed cardboard. It's not nearly as at the volume of just the regular kind of day-to-day cardboard, but that gets recycled. We are also recycling those food scraps through our third party. And I mentioned donations as well. That also helps keep food out of our recycling, but also out of the landfill. So we have a lot of these different streams. We work with our third parties if we do work with a third party vendor to make sure that everything's getting measured and reported back to us. And we have, it fluctuates based on what's happening at a store at any given time, but we have 90 plus stores throughout China and Martin's that have reached that 90% designation. And we're really proud of the work that we're doing.
That's awesome. Yay, I love that. So you mentioned that part of zero waste is donation. Want to see if you can expand on that thought.
Absolutely. Donation is such an important part because we really define food. When we think about food waste specifically, not just zero waste, but when we think about food waste, we think about food that's not going to feed a person. We know that the best and highest use of any food that's in our store is to feed a person. So whatever we can't sell or mark down for a quick sale for an item that's and getting toward the end of its shelf life, we have donation partners set up across all of our stores. We, the Giant and Martin's brands, are partnered with Feeding America. So Feeding America has regional food banks across the entire United States, and then they have agency partners that are affiliated with those regional food banks who will come and pick up in our store. The pickup days are different for our stores if you look across them, but everybody has at least a few days a week. Our goal is to, increase those pickup days because we think that we can increase donations, but also increase efficiency for our stores. But we have donated, millions of pounds annually to our food banks. And what's great is it stays in our communities, right? Like we know our stores want to support their local communities. And by being partnered with these local agencies, we are really able to make sure that we are helping those communities that they serve. So it's really a great program. We love it. It's volunteer driven for those food banks for the most part. And we really do appreciate the fact that these volunteers take their time to make sure that those donations are getting to those in need in our neighborhoods.
Excellent. So I have a question. I'm not sure if you can answer this, but somebody is saying that as a brand, we could be more sustainable if we cut back on remodels and rearranging shelves. Want to see if that's something you can address.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's wrong. But with some of these remodels comes, those new fixtures, those new refrigeration efficiencies that I talked about. So I think, you can look at it both ways. There's certainly things that we could probably keep and repurpose, but when we are looking at the bigger picture, we have to think about our customer experience, some of the larger scale projects that we're doing on LED lights and those air curtains, and the refrigeration. Um, and, we do have roadmaps, fully costed roadmaps on how we need to get to some of our goals to reduce our emissions overall. By the time bound goals that we have set. So they are taking everything into consideration to make sure that we are doing our part and staying on track to hit those targets.
Thank you. And then another customer comment, any chance that we offer refrigerated shopping bags along with the ones that we currently have?
Not that I'm aware of. I didn't even know honestly that was a thing. So not currently. I would say if you do we have insulated bags. I know when we shop, we do try to, save our insulated bag for the items that need it the most. So I would encourage you to look for that.
So customers may worry about how Giant or Martin sources different commodities like coffee, tea, seafood. Can you talk about those critical commodities and how we source?
Absolutely. So seafood is definitely a big one. So when we make sure that we're writing policies for these things, we don't just, say, oh, here's our policy. We really try to make sure that we're utilizing expertise that's, not affiliated with us. So for seafood, for instance, we have been working with an independent third party called the Gulf of Maine Research Institute, and they have helped us draft our sustainable seafood policy. It's very strict on how we source, whether it's farm raised or wild caught. Our suppliers do have to submit certifications that they are fishing sustainably. And that way we make sure that we're doing our due diligence on the front end, that you can feel confident about what you buy in our store. We have similar certification processes for those other critical commodities, Joni, that you mentioned: coffee, tea, soy, cocoa, seafood, wood fiber, and palm oil. Those are all really important critical commodities to think about. We don't want to be sourcing items that are, contributing to things like deforestation, or have any other type of human rights issue in the supply chain. So those are the seven that we very heavily monitor.
Great. Any additional topics that you want to make us aware of today?
I would just say, yeah, I mean, we talked about, we kind of went all over the place here, but we also do a lot around animal welfare, around human rights. Joni hit on the critical commodities, um, sustainable chemistry, making sure that chemicals of concern are not either in product or in packaging. You name it, we're probably working on it. We have very robust data and analytics. We do make sure that we are getting audited outside by a third party to make sure that what we report on is accurate. If you do Google us, we do have a lot of information out there on the internet. We try to be very transparent. But what I would say is, I don't, right, maybe you guys came last year, maybe you remember some of the things we talked about. We did cover a lot of similar topics. But even if you don't remember the specifics of what we talked about today, I think for me, what I hope customers get out of this is that whether or not Giant or Martin's is shouting from the rooftops about all the work that we're doing, I hope that you guys do know that these work streams are happening. We take them very seriously. We report against them. We share public information. I just want you guys to feel good about shopping with us. If sustainability is something that you do care about, because we are doing that work, and I want you guys to know that you can feel comfortable making your purchases at Giant or Martin's.
Excellent. Yes, and we did cover a lot of topics, and you're getting a lot of positive feedback in the chat saying people appreciate the information. So thank you. That is awesome. Anything that you want to highlight for them that should stand out?
I mean, me personally, my favorite topic is always talking, really celebrating what our store teams do and how they reduce food waste and recycle and make sure that, we're just doing the right thing. Our store team members have so many things to think about on a day-to-day basis. I get very siloed and I'm like, oh, just sustainability, like that's all I'm working on. And even when they have to think about staffing their stores and ordering and, helping customers, cleaning up a spill, whatever the case may be, they're always really mindful of things that they can be doing for sustainability. So when you do shop in our stores, I just want you to, from every single person in the store, whether it's the store manager, to our custodial staff, to our front end, people slicing at the deli, we are all thinking about it. It's really a team effort. So if you ever want to say thank you to someone in the store, I think they would appreciate it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. And I just want to give another shout out to How Good, what you talked about, which is those leaves, because I saw some of the comments comparing it to guiding stars. So yes, guiding stars is 1 star is good, 2 stars is better, 3 stars is best. Where How Good is 1 leaf is good, 2 is better, 3 is best for sustainability. But right now, those little leaves are only online. So when you click on a food item, if you scroll down to the nutrition information, you could see the guiding stars. If it earns a leaf, it would be there as well. So look for that also. I like to think of guiding stars as good for me, and the leaves or How Good is good for we, the planet.
That's a good way to look at it, Joni. I like that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for Kristen for sharing your expertise with us and helping us learn a little bit more about the Giant Company's sustainability efforts. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We so appreciate your time. Have a great
Thank
rest of your
you.
day. Bye.
Bye.